Welcome everyone to our second annual Hackster Impact Awards presentation. We have two honorable mentions this year, whom we'll announce first, and then we have a very special Impact Award winner. I'll introduce our winner and a brief summary of their project, announce the prizes that they've won, and then we'll have a Q&A session before we close out Hackster Impact Summit 2023. I have some questions prepared for our winner, but feel free to drop your own in the Q&A. Be sure to use the dedicated Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, not the chat, but the Q&A. That way we'll see them for sure. Before I launch this, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who's joined. It's been such a pleasure to help host our summit this year. We have an incredibly engaged, positive, and creative community, and my coworkers, who are amazing, have kept this whole thing running really smoothly, and it's just been such a delight. And I wanted to say thank you before we close out, because I'm going to be passing it off to Jessica Tangeman at the end of this, who's going to take us home. So for now, thank you so much, and I'm going to launch into our two honorable mentions before we go into our Q&A with our final Impact Award winner of 2023. All right, so without further ado, our first honorable mention is, pull this up here, Katie Neely. So Katie created a solar powered park bench sparkling with LEDs that react to sounds in the environment. It uses two LiDAR sensors to detect motion, with a microphone installed beneath the protective canopy, all connected to a particle boron microcontroller. At parks and bus stops, the bench offers useful information about the location, plus inductive charging and the armrests for personal devices, with the option for a fiber drop to offer public Wi-Fi as well in the future. Future versions may also use 8-inch HDMI LCD screens to display bus ETAs and QR codes with more local info. Katie has created a small prototype. Well, ooh, yeah, cool diagram there. Before we move on to the prototype. All right, cool. You can find all of this on the Hackster project, by the way. Katie has created a small-scale prototype completely with weather-resistant, UV-resistant art resin, plus a full-sized prototype mainly made from wood, giving it a New Mexico rustic feel, while the light-up seat is cast in colorful resin. The project is currently posted as part of the Central New Mexico Community College Ingenuity Hub. Her nominator writes, Katie's approach of using art to engage people in smart cities, while at the same time creating a platform for resiliency and sustainability solutions, creates an opportunity for communities on the smart city journey. As you'll see in her video, which you can find linked in the description after this, there is already some sustainability features in her manifestation of technology-infused public art. I believe this is just the beginning. It's so cool to learn about this project, and you can follow Katie's work under Neely Arts on Hackster.io, along with other projects that she's created as part of the program. That is our first honorable mention. Our second honorable mention is Cesar Jungharada. So he is a French-Japanese designer, environmentalist, educator, and entrepreneur. He's an associate professor of design at the Singapore Institute of Technology and regularly delivers workshops and keynotes at international conferences in places such as the UN, Harvard, and TED Talks, where he is a senior fellow. As a startup and makerspace founder, he's also been recognized as a top sustainability-focused innovator with countless awards and media features you will find on his website here. And we've loved learning about his work addressing issues such as ocean garbage cleanup, remediating nuclear contamination at Fukushima, and recovery from oil spills. He also initiated the Aquathon, an intensive workshop of creative technology to develop tangible solutions for the future of water, from the rivers to the ocean, based on the principles of inclusion, open source, and prototyping. There's all kinds of cool stuff. You can see his two TED Talks linked on his website as well, and all these media links. Features in the BBC and on League of Extraordinary Makers, other things like this. Ocean cleaning robots, garbage cleaning robots. Cool stuff. He's got a YouTube and a LinkedIn where you can follow him. His nominator writes, Cesar currently spends time in regions such as Indonesia, the Philippines, and other ASEAN regions to develop speculative designs methodologies with local communities in creating smart villages. By co-creation activities, Cesar's method of a bottom-up approach when working with citizens for buy-in to create advanced concepts such as Hydrogen Village and International Ocean Station has influenced numerous policymakers, public funders from different regions in how to do citizen and community science that is beneficial for generations. Cesar, we thank you for your work. Follow him again on YouTube and LinkedIn. And finally, it is my great honor to announce our 2023 Hackster Impact Award winner, Marco Uras. He is the CEO and co-founder at WeData, a company specializing in data analysis and the implementation of smart city solutions, and a chief collaborator in the Cagliari Smart City project. So in this project, Cagliari, a southern Italian city with a population of 154-ish thousand people, wanted to address urban heat islands by collecting relevant data at a city scale in ways that could not be addressed with their previous strategy of airplane sensor monitoring. There's an article about it in Seed Studio, and they launched this smart city project. WeData specifically contributes to developing a software and hardware platform for data collection and system control together with Abensula. WeData deployed 528 SenseCap sensors and wireless data modules on light poles and rooftops at 314 sites covering an area of 85 square kilometers. The sensors deployed include Seed Studio's SenseCap 10-in-1 weather sensors, light sensors, air temperature and humidity sensors, and data loggers. And just one final thing before I bring you in for the Q&A. His nominator writes, WeData and Abensula's work in the Cagliari Smart City project directly aligns with the theme of resilient and sustainable cities. By addressing urban heat waves and mitigating the heat island effect, they contribute to the long-term sustainability and resilience of urban environments. Through the deployment of SenseCap sensors, they enable real-time monitoring of weather conditions and provide data-driven insights for targeted interventions in building color and green space planning. This approach promotes sustainable urban development by reducing surface temperatures, improving air quality, and enhancing overall livability. Additionally, their community engagement efforts empower citizens to actively participate in building resilient and sustainable cities. By raising awareness and involving the local community, WeData and Abensula foster a sense of ownership and collective responsibility towards creating more sustainable and livable urban environments. Their scalable and cost-effective solutions further support the implementation of sustainable practices on a citywide scale. Finally, your prizes. Marco wins a Hackster swag bag with special goodies from us and our partners, a 60-minute Hackster Cafe interview. Yes, congratulations. I'm talking so much, and I can't wait to hear from you. I'm just going to run through the rest of the prizes real quick. You're going to be joining us for a 60-minute Hackster Cafe interview hosted by me, Alex Globe, as part of our weekly video series highlighting people who are doing really cool stuff with hardware on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, wink, and a deep dive Hackster News article following an in-depth interview about your work and mission. So congratulations, Marco. I am so excited to ask you some questions. Everyone, be sure to drop your questions in the Q&A. Use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we're going to launch. I do have a number of questions. Add your own questions, and then after that, at around 3 o'clock, we're going to close it out with Jessica Tangeman. Okay, so hi, Marco.
Hi, Alex.
Congratulations again.
Very pleasure to be here, and thank you for the congratulations and the very, very clear explanation of the project. And thank you, Alex.
I'm so glad you could join us. There was so much that I was reading about this project, and just cutting it down to like the bare bones was such a difficult task. So I would love to hear in your own words a bit more about the Cagliari Smart City project that you worked on.
Yeah. Initially, the project starts with a study done by University of Cagliari, because we have to look for the exact point to install the sensor. Because addressing the urban heat island is a very daunting task. And due the extensive of the city, and also the difficult to address where exactly are the places of a urban heat island. The second step was to make a very extensive scouting technologies to find the correct sensor, and we find the answer on Seed Studio battery-powered LoRaWAN sensor. So we create a very extensive LoRaWAN network all around over the city between around 20, 22 gateways, LoRaWAN. And after that, we make a very, very extensive data analytics pipeline in order to discover, even if there are empty payload or corrupted payload, there are very, very rarely, but there is the possibility. So we make a score of trustworthiness of data and trustworthiness of sensor. There are every time very, very high reliability of the sensor. And finally, we show the information on a dashboard, very, very simple and intuitive. We study UX and UI design, of course. And the municipality was very, very happy. And it was a very good job.
Yeah, I think there's an image of the dashboard down here. First, we've got a little view of some of the sensors and gateways mounted on these light poles and on roofs. And then here we have a tiny image of a bit of the dashboard here. So what kinds of data were you reporting?
Yes, there are a lot of data, temperature, humidity, as you mentioned before. And the interesting point here is an AI algorithm in order to find heat wave and urban heat island. In fact, you can see in top left of the screen, heat wave in progress. And another information that we have discovered is that the past year in Cagliari, there was over 20 tropical nights. What are tropical nights? There are a very high number because 20 tropical nights in Cagliari never seen in 30 years ago. So in the last year, 20 tropical nights, very, very high. Tropical nights are when the night never go down 20 degrees Celsius. Very hot. It is a strange phenomenon. And we think that it's due to the climate change and the climate emergency. So this study is a perfect fit in the moment.
Yeah, and so once you're collecting data and identifying heat islands, what kinds of mitigations can be applied by the cities to prevent these? Or if they detect that this is happening, how can they respond?
Oh, in order to mitigate these phenomena, the municipality planned to build new green areas or make green areas in over the rooftop or potential already done green areas. So three actions are make new green areas, increase existing green areas, or create green areas over the rooftop of buildings. This is the way.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing that with parking lots in the US, especially where we're very car-centric, both on rooftops like you're talking about and shading car parking areas with like solar panels, or like you were mentioning with green areas, rooftop gardens, things like that. I love it. In your nomination statement from the person who nominated you, who we will not say, they mentioned that there was a community engagement aspect to this project. And I would love to hear a bit about that. How did you get local citizens engaged with this?
Because all the wireless sensor network produces a lot of data, over 17 millions of data points each year. And the municipality make open data with this data. So citizen can build a new business model on top of this data, or a university and a research organization can study the temperature around the city. This is a way of engage the citizens and the organization around this project.
That it really dovetails with this concept of citizen science that's been growing over the last maybe decade or so, with just everyone getting involved. Purple air sensors, for example, where you have people deploying these custom sensors for air quality and creating a collaborative map, and similar things happening for I love the idea of the same thing happening with heat islands and things like that.
Sure,
Are there yeah. Are there other projects that inspired you to develop this?
So I hope that other city and other customers of the partners, I think Street Studio, Fastweb, or other companies involved in this project can suggest to other cities to deploy this wireless sensor network in order to mitigate the phenomenon also in other city, because we have already studied the phenomenon. We now know how to build a very huge monitoring network. So this is another way to fight the urban heat island phenomenon.
Yeah. So you are using a variety of sensors and data loggers from Seed Studio. Could you tell us a little bit about the technology and what it was like working with these modules?
Oh, the technology was wonderful because it is practically plug and play. There is a very few configuration needed, and the sensors are quite reliable and very easy to use. So we are quite satisfied of using these sensors. And
Nice.
so the gateway are perfect for this use case, because LoRaWAN is a perfect protocol for a smart city and also precise farming, but it is very easy to use.
And your company, WeData, creates its own hardware, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Because we developed a sensor to monitoring the crowdedness in the autobus and also in public places like beaches or something like that. And the very particular principle that we used is to collect Wi-Fi probes and addressing the MAC address randomization problem. So we spent about 2 or 3 years in R&D with the University of Cagliari in order to find a way to renew the Wi-Fi analytics. So after the randomization, the MAC address randomization, you got it?
Yep.
The Wi-Fi analytics was dead. So we spent 2 years of research to find a way to address this problem. And we discovered it, and we built our own sensor. We are commercializing it for transportation public transportation company, and also municipalities.
I'm very curious about this from a privacy perspective, because you're de-randomizing MAC addresses and Wi-Fi devices that are on Wi-Fi in order to sort of track the movements of people and stuff. And I'm curious about how you preserve people's privacy while you're doing that. Is it that you're able to sort of tell where one device goes, but you don't track who it is, or how do you address that?
Yeah, because discarding the MAC address, we have there is not exists a way to connect devices to people. It is impossible. So this is the reason why the privacy aspect is protected. You
Nice.
can make a city site and produce Wi-Fi probes without a MAC address, a fixed MAC address. So this is protecting your privacy. We collect data and classify the Wi-Fi probes based on information elements and other stuff in order to discover the number of device. But if a device disappear and then come back, we can't track it. So the privacy is perfectly
Nice.
protected.
It's always top of mind for me, so it's very reassuring to hear. I'm curious. So there's We Data and there's also Ab Insula, and I wasn't totally clear on whether those are both companies of yours or was it a collaboration or how did that work? Oh, it might be frozen. Well, I'm very curious. I'm going to pull up a screen share here and show you the other company's page because I want to know, are they the same company? Are they, I mean, they're clearly different companies, but this project is described as a collaboration between Ab Insula and We Data plus telecommunications company Fastweb with scientific support from the University of Cagliari, and then also the municipality of Cagliari, who was running the whole program and brought everyone together to sort of work on it. An interesting little backstory tidbit while we work on this tech issue. So I learned that this project actually, the seed of it was started in 2017 when the University of Cagliari and the municipality of Cagliari collaborated to apply thermal imaging cameras mounted to this problem that were mounted on a small plane that flew above the city. So before they decided to deploy like a LoRaWAN network to gather this data, they were using a small plane flying over the city, continuously capturing the temperatures of 250 elementary areas. And then they were like, this isn't really working for our needs, so we'd better get together a sensor network. Welcome back, Marco! Oh, oh no! Maybe I spoke too soon. Anyway, so I'm very curious to hear about this collaboration between We Data and Ab Insula. Lots of interesting hardware collaboration going on here and how that works. Check it out. They've got embedded digital and IoT thingies with security built in. It's also very interesting to hear about how these are tied together with LoRaWAN, which is a very increasingly popular wireless protocol for tying together sensors and gateways and data loggers for smart cities, because it's LoRa and LoRaWAN. It stands for long range, but it's like long range, low power sensor communication. And so people are using this for smart city stuff. They're using it for wildlife tracking and monitoring and protection. They're using it for environmental monitoring, for agriculture, all kinds of these applications where you don't necessarily have either a strong cellular network or a strong Wi-Fi network that you can just lean on in order to collect and share this data and push it up to the cloud. Actually, our cafe earlier, Thomas Basicolo, was joining us and talking about how challenging it can be when you don't necessarily have access to an IoT dashboard in the cloud, but LoRa is sort of at least designed to help mitigate this issue. And so that's partly what this project is based on. I also have a note here about like urban heat islands. So if you didn't catch this, the whole project is based around the idea of detecting, monitoring, and mitigating urban heat islands, which are sort of something that's becoming more of a concern with climate change. So the term refers to, according to the Seed Studio article, a phenomenon where an urban area is significantly warmer than its rural surroundings due to artificial infrastructure and human activities of urbanization. So this has the effect of increasing energy costs, air pollution levels, and heat-related illness and mortality. So obviously it's a very important project that we're trying, problem that we're trying to solve here. I think it's really interesting to be seeing this kind of a project being deployed in such a large city with collaboration between the research university and the city itself. Really cool to be seeing this kind of support. I'm going to stop showing this page, which I didn't realize I was still screen sharing. Anyway, so yeah, I would love it if we can still get Marco back, but I'm very excited that we got to have a couple of questions. And if you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A using that button at the bottom of your screen. But also, we're almost about at time to wrap up our Impact Summit for today and for this year. We're very excited to bring this back again next year. If you have ideas for what we should focus on, we are yet to select next year's theme. Last year, it was air and water quality and protection. This year, obviously, smart, sustainable, and resilient cities. Next year, who knows? If you have something that you're especially excited to hear about or to contribute a presentation for, we've already had some people jump in and be like, when do I get to present? It's like, oh, next year, but like, just get in touch. Hey! Well, I'm not going to quiz you anymore. I would love to just give you a moment to say whatever you'd like to say before we wrap up our session here.
Oh, sorry. Can you repeat, Alex? Because
sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. I decided that since we're not totally sure of being able to keep the connection, I would love to make a space for you to say anything that you'd like to make in terms of remarks before we close the session.
I just say thank you, because this is a very honorable award, and we are very proud to be here in front of you and the Hackster community, because we are very happy. And thank you again, Alex. And
thank you. Congratulations again. I can't wait to give you a longer interview some week on Hackster Cafe, and we'll really get to dig into some of this stuff. So everyone, don't worry. Despite the technical issues, there will be another time where you get a chance to like ask all your questions, join us live, all kinds of good stuff like that. So at this point, we are at 2:54, almost 2:55. And by the time I hand it over to Jessica, it will probably be about time. Thank you again for joining us, Marco. It's so cool that you were able to jump on from Italy. Are you in Italy? Is it Sardinia or is it Italy? Or are they both? Is it part of Italy technically?
It's the second bigger island in Italy, so it is technically Italy, and it is a wonderful island. So I invite all of you to come to Sardinia, because
you heard him, Jessica. We're going to Sardinia.
I'm in. Let's go next week.
Yes, yeah, tomorrow.
I'll book my flights right after.
We're all going to stay at Marco's house. All right. Okay. Thank you again, and congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Marco.
Thank you, Jessica.
All right, Jess, I'll hand it over to you.
All righty. Thank you, Alex. And with that, that is the 2023 Impact Summit. A big thank you to all of our presenters, panelists, and summit hosts for sharing your knowledge and inspiring the greater engineering community to explore opportunities that accelerate sustainable, realistic innovation. This year's summit theme was focused on building resiliency in cities. And through workshops, demos, and community advocates, the past 2 days, we learned how machine learning, advanced data analytics, and IoT in the field can transform the way in which infrastructure and essential facilities can be more efficiently maintained. Another thank you to our gold tier sponsor, Nordic Semiconductor, for being a leader in sustainability and resiliency. And thank you to our additional featured sponsors for your dedication to the Tech for Good initiative: ARM, BrainChip, Renaissance, AMD, Seed Studio, Blues, Wilderness Labs, Microchip, and our parent company, Avnet. Also, a big shout out to all of our industry friends for sharing our event in your channels and helping us get the word out. This year's summit was made possible by our talented Hackster team, live streaming here in Austin, Texas. Miss Katie Christoph, Alex Glow, Courtney Mann, Louise Paul, and Jesselyn Holdcraft. Have any ideas for next year's summit? Be sure to continue the conversation on Discord and follow us on social media with handle Hackster.io. Hackster News will keep you informed on what's happening in the industry. Read at Hackster.io/news or on mobile using the Google News app. Get it delivered weekly to your inbox at bit.ly/Hackster newsletter. And last but not least, join our community. As we heard from many presenters these last 2 days, as soon as you commit a willingness to share your skills, ecosystems happily open up and welcome you in. Together, we elevate the tech for good narrative, and together we can create a fabric where you too can make an impact. My name is Jessica Tangeman, and this was the Hackster Impact Summit. Thanks, guys. See you online.